Today I would like to talk about bilingualism, specifically on its benefits, but I will also show some research that seems to report contradictory findings. So that's my name, Muhammad Ahkam Arifin. Ahkam is my Indonesian name. During my presentation today, I define bilingualism as the ability to use two or more languages, so it doesn't have to be at equal proficiency or fluency. Okay? In our daily life, it's actually normal to be confused over something, but when this confusion becomes very often, then this could be a problem. You might actually experience disoriented. You might say to yourself, why I'm doing this one? Just kind of forget it. Or maybe, why you are here? What did I do? Where was I? It just happens. You forget things easily. And then, another negative things is that we may have met, seen, or even taught a child who seems to have low ability to pay attention, or you just kind of consider this kind of children less intelligent. And then I'm very sure it has happened in our life. We kind of find it hard to retrieve information or a word to convey our meanings. You just saying, what's the word again? These negative things, mental confusion, low intelligence, and then difficulties in information or word retrievals are, to some researchers, as a result of our ability as a bilingual. The rationale is that because every time you speak any language, your brains are actually working hard to inhibit another language. Take me as an example. I'm currently speaking English. It means that my brain has to work hard to inhibit my Indonesian language because it may come up and distract me when I'm speaking English. But so fortunately, because these research studies were mostly conducted in the past, and then currently researchers have, especially from neurologists, have tried to see what happens in our brains, what changes in our brains. There's a well-known name in this topic, Bilingual, so you can search it on YouTube and you can see her presentation, her research on this issue. And she and other neurologists found that there are some kind of parts of the brain that become thicker, specifically on gray and white matter. So these parts of the brain are actually related to information processing. It's related to executive control, or also called, if you have heard it, executive processing or executive function or executive control. This executive control has been empirically linked to general intelligence, specifically on task switching, inhibition, or attention. So simply, bilingual brains are just more intelligent compared to monolingual. And amazingly, this is very amazing to me actually, because these changes that happens are also related to the capacity and efficiency of our brains to deal with cognitive reserve or brain damage. So our brain just kind of cope more effectively with the dementia like Alzheimer's. So Biolostock mentioned, and other neurologists actually seem to agree, that there seems to be delayed symptoms for bilinguals, like 3 to 4 years for Alzheimer's. So in a simple term, bilingual brains are just healthier than monolingual brains. And I think it's just logical that when you have learned another language, a second language, it will be easier for you to learn a third language. Because you have developed some kind of specific language learning strategy, so you can employ or utilize those strategies when you are learning another language. And it's actually related to metalinguistic awareness, simply defined as the ability to compare similarities or differences between languages. For example, every time I teach my students with the pronunciation like this symbol, tha, thing, thing, thick, we don't actually have that pronunciation in Indonesian language. So it's very hard to explain to my students that pronunciation. But because most of my students have learned Arabic language, in Arabic language, this pronunciation exists. So I could compare this pronunciation to Arabic language, and it will be easier for my students to understand. If I speak to Indonesian language, it's very hard. Yeah, they kind of find it very difficult. But actually, there is, in 2011, Hilchi and Klein did some kind of studies review on this issue, and the advantage of bilinguals is actually not always found. And there has been some speculation on this issue, and it means that it is the gap itself. The first one is there is no kind of exact agreement between authors on the definition of bilingualism. Some would say that bilingualism, bilinguals are those who can speak 2 languages, and some would say it could be 3 or more. So it doesn't have to be 2, and it could be related to the fluency. Some would say it has to be at equal fluency or fluency. Others would say as long as you can use it. That's the problem. Another thing is related to the types of bilingualism itself. For example, whether when we are learning another language, it could replace the first language or not. For example, currently I'm speaking English, I'm learning English, but it actually doesn't replace my language. But it could happen with immigrants. So these disadvantage may not exist in immigrants. And then the last one is that it's related to meta-linguistic awareness. So for some researchers, this has to be, the knowledge of this language has to be explicit. So you have to be literate in both of the language to get advantage of the meta-linguistic awareness. So 3, the first one is definition, the second one is the type of the bilingualism, and the last one is the whether you have to be literate or not. Those are the gaps. Yeah, that's all. Thank you very much.